now.
Awesome. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this month's deep dive. My name is Brittany Andretian. I'm a business success coach with Practice Better, and I am joined today with Sam. Sam is our customer support specialist, and we're here today to show you how to navigate the client portal from the client's perspective. So an inside look at the client portal. Typically when we do these deep dives, you're seeing the practitioner side of things, but we wanted to take you on this in-depth tour of the client portal so that you have the viewpoint that your clients see and that you can, best guide them to use the client portal successfully. So kind of our goal with this webinar today, and by the end of it, you'll learn exactly what your clients have access to within the client portal and how to guide them to use it to its fullest potential, where they can access resources that you share with them and how they can actually share them back with you, and how they can effectively log lifestyle, dietary, and health metrics in their food journals. That's just kind of a few of the highlights today. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions as we go through today's agenda, feel free to leave them in the chat. So any questions on today's topic. The replay will be available, so we will send it out via email, and it's also posted on YouTube. And then we will have a feedback survey for you to complete at the end of this deep dive. So just a minute of your time, and always helps us inform, kind of gives us direction on the next deep dive. We always like to take your feedback into consideration. So we will post that later in the chat for anyone that can't stay the full hour. But let's actually turn our screens off, and Sam is going to share his screen, and then we'll do a little intro into the topic before we dive into the demo. So I'm just going to turn off my video quickly here. Awesome. All right, Sam, your screen looks good. Cool. So let's just jump into an intro of today's topic. So we wanted to show everyone a glimpse into what your clients experience when they utilize the client portal. So this is an important aspect of your practice, as you'll be able to guide your clients on the best practices to get the most out of Practice Better and work together as effectively as possible. So you can imagine if your client's having a hard time navigating, that it might impact their experience and their outcomes working with you. So this deep dive is going to allow you to become familiar with the client portal so that you know how to guide them right from the start and answer any questions that might arise during their time working with you. So, with a thorough understanding of the platform, you'll be able to get incredibly specific with your directions to clients and eliminate any gray area that could lead to those inefficiencies working together, which can, of course, just be so frustrating and time consuming. A really great example of this would be utilizing food journals. So that's one feature that there are many ways the clients can utilize it and log food. So what works best for you and your client, being familiar with the different ways will allow you to make an informed decision and then relay that to your clients so they know exactly what to do and how to use it in a way that makes sense for you as the practitioner. So with that in mind, let's actually jump into the demo and tour the client portal. So we want to take you through the client portal as if you're a client kind of going through a typical workflow with a practitioner. So Sam is going to kind of show us what it looks like when a client logs in for the first time. So imagine that you've invited your client to begin using the client portal. We want to set them up for success. So we've included a pop-up setup wizard that they'll automatically see the first time they log in, and that will kind of give them a few key items to get started. So Sam is going to show us what that looks like.
Thanks, Britt. So as Britt mentioned, when setting up a client account, you can choose whether or not to create a login for them to give them access to the client portal. If you opt to, you can choose whether to enable things like immediate journal access, assign them tags, or send them forms to complete. Once you have invited them, they will receive an email asking them to activate their account. Once they click the link, they will be directed to create an account and set up a password, and then they can log in. When they log in for the first time, they'll see the setup wizard like so. By default, we have uploaded a video that shows them how to walk through the portal from the client's perspective, which they can choose to watch. To note, you can also upload custom videos here as well if you have a different workflow process that you would like to onboard with your clients. From here, they can also choose to do things like add a profile picture. I'll select skip, and they can also quickly add a lifestyle entry to get familiar with the platform. So for this one, I'll put that I'm feeling good and that my mood right now is happy. And then I can add that entry, which will be populated to my lifestyle journal automatically. They will receive other prompts, such as making your way around the client portal, which you can see here. This is very streamlined for clients because we find a lot of them use the mobile app when accessing our platform. And then you can, if you select next, there will be a links here that says get even more out of your client portal. From here, they can do things like request a session or complete tasks if you've assigned them to them already. As part of your onboarding process, you can encourage your clients to have a thorough read over this information and check out the links so that they can get best acquainted with the platform. Once they are done, they will select finish and have the main functionality of their client profile set up.
Awesome. So let's just talk about the client dashboard for a second. So essentially, this is everything the client needs to be aware of at a glance and provides quick access to the common places they'll navigate to when using the client portal. So think of this like their home page. This is what they'll see when logging in and where they'll regularly come back to. So oftentimes, clients will be made aware of items that require their attention in more than one place. So this could mean that they're receiving an email, maybe an in-app notification for many of the things. There's multiple spots on the client dashboard where they can access key areas and information as well. So we want to make it abundantly clear and easy for the clients. So often, you can see by looking here, you've got a couple of different places to access the journals and bookings and that sort of things. But Sam is going to walk us through kind of the highlights of the dashboard and just give us an overview so that you kind of know what your clients are working with.
So as Britt mentioned, you can think of the dashboard almost as like the client's homepage. This is the quickest way for them to access anything that they may need, as well as see information of what they still need to do. So the first thing to note is that you, as a practitioner, can update the ordering of the dashboard and how it appears for your clients in your practitioner account. Whatever order you select will be reflected in all of your clients' accounts. And this is good depending on what you want to prioritize for your clients. So if you want them to see their upcoming sessions first, that would be a best way to do it so they can see that when they first log in. You'll see here that there are multiple widgets. The My Journals widget allows your clients to view their journal entries as well as add new ones. This widget allows them to see their daily journal information at a glance. You can see here that I've already added some entries that are populating. Upcoming sessions will show all of the upcoming sessions a client has booked with you, which makes it easy for them to keep track of. They can also request more sessions from here, which we will discuss shortly. In this window, they can also quickly access any programs, as you can see here. And they can also view any pending forms and session notes, as well as invoices and protocols, all of which we will discuss later. Awesome. And then I'll send it back to Britt to talk about booking sessions.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, so that's just kind of an overview of what their homepage looks like. So really from there, they can get everywhere that they need to within the client portal. So now that they're in the client portal and they're kind of logged in, let's take a look at how they can actually book a session with you. So as you know, bookings can happen right within the Practice Better platform. You don't have to, have a third-party service to do that. And there's a good chance that you'll want your client to be able to book or request a session with you, especially if you're working with them long-term or with a package where, they have multiple sessions. Do keep in mind though, that as a practitioner, default bookings come through as a request unless you set up, an automation to automatically confirm them from your clients. But there are multiple ways for how sessions and appointments can be booked, either by your client or as you as the practitioner. So you can invite them through their client portal, for example. But Sam is going to show us, how a client can book a session with you and how it will read when you've invited a client to a session. So again, depending on how you want your client to book in, because some practitioners might prefer to have control over their calendar where they're making the bookings. Others are maybe, more open to their clients actually booking themselves in. So Sam will just kind of walk us through a couple of those options available to them within the client portal.
Thanks, Britt. So I did notice there were a few questions about ordering the dashboard. So that can be found for the practitioners. That can be found by going into your client's record. And then you'll see a little gear icon along the right-hand side of the record. You would just click that and then you can reorganize it there. But to discuss bookings, so like Britt said, there's a few different ways, and I'm sure the practitioners among you that have been using our platform for a while are very familiar with these aspects. But there are a few different ways that clients can request sessions with you. So the quickest and most efficient way would be to select the request session here from the dashboard. When you select this, a prompt will appear asking you if you would like to book the sessions from a package. For those who are unfamiliar with packages, they are a bundle of services that you can offer to a client. For the purposes of this demo, I will select book another service and we'll book a session fresh. This will take us to your bookings page where it will list all the services that you offer. From here, let's book in for a free discovery call. And you'll see here, this looks similar to your public booking page, that there are a few different options depending on what you make available. So we have in-person sessions if you want to do an in-person one, by phone if you plan to do it by telephone, and then an online video chat if you plan to do it with a platform like Zoom or like telehealth or built-in telehealth. So from here, you would just select your availability. So the availability that pulls here is pulled from the availability that you have set up in your own practitioner account with your available time slots. So right now, in my practitioner account, I have Monday to Wednesdays available. So for the clients, they can come here and choose to book it. So we'll select October 6th and we'll see what I have available. We will select 1 p.m. And from here, we will select next. And then this is basically how it will look like from the client perspective when they're trying to book a session with you. We'll tell them when, what kind of session it will be, and the fee if applicable. Then this one I've set up as a free service, so there's no fee attached. And then they will select confirm and book. Once they select confirm and book, if you have an automation set up that automatically confirms bookings, it will show in the upcoming bookings. I do not have an automation for that, so I would have to manually confirm this request. And then once confirmed, it will show up with my upcoming bookings here as well. And then another option is you can, in your practitioner portal, select invite to book to send your clients an email that reminds them to book a session with you. To do this, you would just select the 3 dots icon beside any of the services that you offer and then select invite to book. Your clients will get an email stating book your next session. And once they click the link, it will take them to the booking page where they can do the exact same workflow that we just outlined. Lastly, new and existing clients can also use your public booking page to book sessions with you. You can host this link on your personal website to capture new clients, and this is only available if you are offering public services. As we are mainly discussing the client portal today, if you want to find this in your practitioner portal, you would just need to select the gear icon here at the top of Practice Better, and you'll have an option that says share my link, and then you can find your booking page there. And I'll send it back to Britt to talk about payments.
Awesome. I have noticed that there's a few more people that have tuned into the webinar. So I just want to reiterate for anyone that wasn't here at the beginning, we do have a replay that goes out. So this is being recorded right now. So no worries about missing the very beginning, and no worries if you can't stay the entire duration. I do see also a question that maybe we'll pause for here, Sam. So someone is asking, do clients have to have a Practice Better account to book a free session? And no, they don't have to already have an account with you. So if you're using a public booking page and they want to book in for you with the first time, they don't need to have access to the portal or anything like that.
Very good question. I also see one from Lorna here about can you add access to Practice Better to my website? If so, where would I find instructions? So yes, you can. The public booking page I was talking about, where your clients can request sessions with you, that was the pressing the gear icon and then selecting share my link. You can post that link directly onto your website. So you can have instructions so that a client on your website, it says something along the lines of book your session with me now. Your client would click that link, and then it would take them to that booking page that I just showed you. And then they could book a session with you, all done through your website.
Yeah. So let's actually jump into talking about making payments. So now we're kind of thinking about the workflow that a client goes through with their client portal. So they've logged in for the first time, they've seen that dashboard, they've maybe booked a session with you. And now let's kind of run the scenario that they've booked a session with you and you've sent them over an invoice. So with Practice Better, you can collect payment right from within the platform. We do offer integrations with both Square and Stripe, so you can easily collect payment from clients. And then clients can take care of the invoices you create for them via their client portal. So within the client portal, they'll receive a notification. So Sam will kind of show you where that little bell icon is. And that will let you know that the new invoice has been sent their way. And from here, the client will be able to navigate over to invoices and billing. And again, there's a couple of places to get there. But Sam will show us the different means of getting to invoice and billing, and then how the client can actually take care of paying their invoice right from within the client portal.
Awesome. Thanks, Britt. So yes, there are a few different ways that you can collect payments from clients. As Britt discussed, we usually recommend integrating either Square or Stripe to make collecting payments much more streamlined. One of the more common options that we find with practitioners is to require payment to booking, which is a setting you can enable for services that are listed on your public booking page. This means that clients will have to pay in advance in order to book a session with you. However, if you do not have this enabled, you can invoice clients to be paid later. You'll see that my client here, my test client, has a few outstanding invoices that he needs to pay. Let's select the View All option to walk over how payment works from their perspective. For any payments to be processed through Practice Better, your client will need to add a credit card in the billing information area, which is here. You can also add this yourself as a practitioner. You'll have access to this in your own practitioner portal for the client, or have it captured automatically on your public booking page by enabling the Require Clients Billing Information option under any of your services. If you enable this and your client enters their credit card information, it will populate here automatically. Let's go back to the Invoices tab. Your client will need to select Pay Now beside any outstanding invoices. Let's do one that I sent yesterday. We'll select Pay Now, and this will take them to the invoice details page where they can see what they are being billed for and what service or package the invoice is linked to. So for example, I've linked this one to an initial consultation. This is for an upcoming session that they have. And from here, when the client selects Pay Now, if they have a credit card automatically in the system, or sorry, if they have a credit card in the system already, it will populate here automatically. If they do not, they can just simply enter their credit card information here. They will then select Submit. And once they do that, their invoice will be marked as paid, like this option here in the September 19th invoice for $55. It will be marked as paid. So that way the client can quickly see which invoices they still have to pay, as well as which invoices are outstanding. The last thing I want to show you here that's a good feature for both your clients and yourself, if you're not aware of this already, is you can select the download option here. If you select download, it will allow you to save the invoice as a PDF for either your client's records or for yourself.
Awesome. I did see a good question come through in the chat that I just wanted to bring up in case no one saw it. So someone asked if you could collect payment before a service happens, and absolutely. So if you want to require payment at the time of booking, you can absolutely do that so that your services are paid for before you're actually meeting with your client. That's absolutely an option. The point we're trying to drive home today is more so just that clients can just log into their client portal. And you're seeing the desktop version today, but they can access it through their desktop or even through the app available on iOS or Android and take care of those invoices. There are multiple ways to pay an invoice. So if they're not paying via credit card, maybe they're using a check or cash, maybe they are paying through PayPal. Manually, you can go and mark that invoice as paid and record the way that it was paid through your practitioner portal. Right now, we're demoing the client portal, so we don't have the ability to demo that for you, but just know that that is an option. Awesome. All right, anything else that you see about today's topic in the chat, Sam, that we can answer?
Absolutely. I see a good question here from Tennille just about, is it possible to link their credit card information from a credit card authorization form? So unfortunately, at this time, that would not be possible. What we normally do in cases of this is if you have a public booking page, there was that option that I mentioned that you can enable in your services where you can require billing information. Basically, if you check that off, a client will have to input their credit card information, and then it will be saved to their file automatically. The good thing about doing that, though, is you don't have to necessarily charge them. You can enable the service so that the fee doesn't have to be charged, but they do have to enter their credit card information. But unfortunately, at this time, it's not really possible to capture it through like a form sent through the forms and waivers section.
Awesome. I do see one last question that I want to address. Is it a possibility to add a secondary email to the client record? And yes, that is possible. So if you're dealing with, say, a minor and you want the payment to go through the parent, you can link a secondary email to the client. Again, we're right now in the client portal, not in the practitioner one, so we can't exactly walk you through that. But again, just know that that is a possibility. So if you do want to send an invoice to, say, the parent of a minor, for example, that can be done. All right, let's move over to completing forms. So again, this is another feature that really enhances the client experience as it keeps things very streamlined and efficient for your client. So really just adding to that positive experience they're having. And we know that when they're having a positive experience, they're more likely to have a better outcome working with you as a practitioner. And as practitioners, we know that forms are really just an essential part of working with your clients to ensure that you have as much context as possible. And there are many instances within a typical workflow with a client where the form will be the most logical and efficient way to capture different information. So, things like intake forms at the very beginning. Maybe if you're working with them long-term, you're gonna have regular check-ins and you can complete this via a form as well. And then maybe at the end, you wanna collect feedback and you wanna do that via a form. So lots of different ways that you can use them. You can even use forms more creatively or for kind of more of an out-of-a-box function, such as collecting community feedback on a new program you're building, or maybe you're using it as a workbook in a program. All of these forms can be completed within the client portal. So no longer is there a need for your client to download, print, complete by hand, scan, and email back. I always found that this is where things could really kind of fall apart with clients, either being, incomplete with their forms or not getting things back in a timely manner, or maybe they ran into tech issues along the way. So this is a way to send forms to clients in a far more streamlined, efficient manner that will just lead to a faster turnaround time and a more thorough, complete response. So Sam will show us how clients can take care of this right from within the client portal.
Awesome. Thanks, Britt. So before I dive into forms, I do see a question here from Patricia just about do clients need access to the client portal to fill out any form? When it comes to forms, you actually can use what's called a public form link. I would search our help article on how to set that up. But basically, you can host a public form link on your own personal website, which your clients can then complete and would not require them to have portal access. But let's go ahead and just talk about the form section. So any forms that you send to a client will be in their forms and waiver section. Like the other sections we've outlined so far, let's select View All underneath Pending Forms in the dashboard. You'll see this test client, my test client I've set up, has a lot of pending forms that I've sent him over time. So when you see View All, it will show all of the forms that have been sent over a time frame. So this will be a very important place for your client because it is very easy for them to identify which forms have been completed and which forms they still have left to do. For completed forms, they will have the completed check mark as in the case of my feedback survey here that I'd send. So that way they can quickly see which ones they've done. Any forms that do not have this icon are incomplete. There will also be an icon that says started if your client has started a form but has not finished it. So that way you know that they're at least making progress on it. When your clients fill out a form, they will need to select complete. This will take them to the form itself where they can choose to fill out the information that they require, that is required by you, I should say. They can complete these forms at their leisure, and they can select the 3 dots icon here and select Save Progress if you have a longer form that they need to complete. So let's quickly fill out this one together. This is just a stress check-in form. So I'm going to put that my stress is at level 5, that I currently have work-life balance is a main factor of stress, and then they can quickly fill out the check boxes here. For those of you who've already been playing around or been using forms for a long time, you know that they're very highly customizable. You can add all sorts of different types of fields, scales, grids, aggregates, conditional flows, all sort of very, we've seen people really get creative with their usage of forms. So you can really customize these however you'd like. This is more of a basic form that I've just set up so we can quickly go through it together. So once your client has completed it, they would just select Save and Submit. They'll have this prompt, are you sure you're ready to submit this form? Because it becomes read-only after submission. They will select Submit. And then once it processes, they will see an icon in their dashboard and it will now say completed. So that way they're able to very easily keep track of what they've done and what they still have left to do. So now I'll send it back to Britt.
Awesome. We do have a few questions I want to address. So firstly, a couple questions regarding if you've uploaded forms into the platform. So that is an option as a practitioner where you can either use the form builder or you can choose to upload, say, a PDF. The way that Sam just completed that form is really based on a practitioner creating a form using the form builder. So if you have a fillable PDF or have simply kind of uploaded a PDF, that will not be something that they can complete within the Practice Better platform. They can have it all in one place still and, keep everything together, but they're not completing it the way that you just saw. So really the advantage to using that form builder and taking the time to, maybe unfortunately recreate what you already have as a PDF is just what you've seen, that there's no need to download, have the latest version of Adobe to be sure that, they are able to fill out a fillable PDF, no need to print and scan back. And all of that kind of headache is eliminated by utilizing the form builder. I did also see a question from Megan. She's asking if the stress check-in form is included in the portal. No. So much of what you see in this demo today has been created for the sake of an example. We've used the form builder to just kind of build that out to show you a simple form and show you what it looks like to complete. But you can very easily recreate that within your platform.
Awesome.
Let's see here. Can the form builder be used to send a form outside of the Practice Better platform? So one thing to note is that clients do not have to have access to the client portal to be able to complete a form. So you can create a form within your practitioner account and then use the public sharing link and put that form really anywhere. So if someone does fill it out and they don't have a client account with you, when they do complete it, you will see kind of a record added to your account. But yeah, they don't have to have access to complete that form. Terry says, will this be available to watch on replay? And yes, it will. I've noticed that there's a few more people that have logged in to catch the webinar, which is great. And this was all being recorded and will be posted on YouTube after the fact. All right, Sam, did you see any other questions that we should answer prior to moving on here?
Yes, actually I did. So one from Juliana here. Can you schedule a form to go out monthly? We do a great option that we recommend for clients who, if you have the same type of form that they need to kind of fill up in sort of like an update fashion, is to use what's called recurring forms. So that would have to be set up through your practitioner portal. Well, what I would recommend is if anyone's interested in doing that after this webinar, just go to our help center and search for recurring forms. And then you can set settings that will send the forms on a schedule. So that way your clients can be will be able to access that at a recurring schedule. And then I think let's see, we had one here from JM. When will clients have a save button or auto save? So they can save their progress by selecting the 3 dots icon at the top of the form when they're filling it out, and they can save their progress. And I don't know if you saw there when I was working on the stress check-in, but when if you do watch the replay of this, you'll see that there was a little auto save option or a little save progress option that came up while I was working on the form. So you can track that while doing forms. But yeah, I think that's good for forms questions for now, Britt.
Awesome. Great. Let's move on to video sessions. So for kind of, again, thinking about that hypothetical workflow, the client's, logged in, they've gotten access, they've maybe booked a session, they've paid their invoice, they've completed a form, and now they're ready to actually start that video session with you. So when it comes time to actually meet with your clients, if you are offering the session virtually, the client can meet you right within the client portal. So we offer 2 ways to have video sessions with your client. The HIPAA compliant Practice Better telehealth feature for one-on-one sessions, or you can choose to integrate with Zoom, which will allow you to do both one-on-one or group sessions. And this is really simple. So it's nice that they don't have to, hop over to Zoom and make sure that they have that downloaded. Like, they can do this all within the platform. And again, we're looking at the desktop version today, but they can also do this from the convenience of their phone. So they can really be kind of very mobile with this, and less barriers, when it comes to things that might get in the way of actually conducting the session. So Sam will show us just how easy it is for a client to enter into a virtual session through the client portal.
Awesome. So far, while we've been talking about these sections, I've been demoing how to access different areas of the client portal here through the dashboard. But there are other ways that they can quickly access this. So another quick way is using the My Resources tab. You as practitioners have similar drop downs with the My Services and My Practice, like all of those drop downs that appear. Your clients do have this option as well, just with different headers. So for this, to view our bookings, let's select My Resources and Bookings. And while we were here, someone had mentioned in the chat earlier just about asking if clients can view the packages that they are enrolled in. And yes, they can. I'm just going to quickly show you that. You would just select the packages icon here, and it will show you any of the packages that your client is enrolled in. So let's go back to our bookings. From here, to view a video session, you are able to see this join session icon here. This will appear anytime that the call has been booked, either using Zoom or our built-in telehealth session. Regardless of which you use, the join session option will appear the same. This one at the top is for a Zoom session. This one down here is for a telehealth session. For your clients to join, they will simply need to select join session. When they click that, the session will launch. And then you as a practitioner on your end also need to select start session. It's in the same area, but it will say start session. Once you both have done that, you will connect into the session together and you'll be able to speak with one another. On your video calls, you'll be able to view and hear your client, and you can also screen share with your client if you want to show them something on your computer. And to note as well, your clients can also join video sessions using the mobile app. So as I mentioned earlier, we find a lot of clients access our platform through mobile. So if they want to be able to do Zoom or telesessions, they can access that as well through our mobile app.
Yeah, that's great. It just makes it so convenient for clients. So let's also look at where clients can view resources. So as practitioners, we do a lot of work creating these resources for our clients. So it's quite common. You'll be providing the client with resources through their time working with you and perhaps even beyond. So, after they've had their final session with you, maybe you want them to still have access to these tools and these resources you've shared with them. And I just want to say, when I refer to resources, what I'm talking about is items such as notes, documents or PDFs, protocols, programs. We refer to all of these as resources. And these can really be total game changers in helping your client reach their desired outcomes and achieve their goals. They can be fantastic for bridging the gap between sessions or even acting as an accountability or an engagement tool with your clients. So all of your effort creating and curating these resources would really just be for naught if the client is not comfortable in knowing exactly where to find them, and therefore they're just not making use of them. And our goal is to ensure an easy, streamlined experience for the client. So no more digging through their inboxes, trying to find the email that has the link or the attachment they're looking for, or even having to sift through their downloads folder. I don't know about anybody else, but my downloads folder, I never really clean it out. So it's always kind of full and lots in there. But however, we just want to make sure that your clients know how to access everything that you're sharing with them within their client portal, just so that they can make the most out of those resources. So Sam is going to run us through kind of the places you can access commonly shared resources. So again, that looks like documents, protocols, programs, notes, things of that nature.
Awesome. So like we've been talking about, the dashboard is still one of the best places to access all this information, even if they can navigate from other areas as well. So let's start with programs. So for programs that your client is registered in, they can select it from the My Programs widget here. They'll also be able to see quickly at a glance how the program progress is going along. So if they've completed some modules, this would reflect right here, so they can quickly see if they're like halfway through a program, 3/4 of the way through a program. Very easy for them to keep track of. And then from here, they can also click the program, which will take them directly to the program. And from here, it will give you an overview, as well as the modules that are unlocked for your client so far. They can come here, work on the modules, and mark as completed, which will then update in the widget automatically. As well, if you have scheduled group sessions, they'll appear here as well, so your client can quickly see which group sessions they have coming up and be prepared to join them. So now another quick feature of the client dashboard is protocols. I'm sure many of you are already using our protocol setup right here, but basically the most recent protocols that you've shared with the client will appear right here, as well as the information such as food or supplements that you share with them. So they can basically click the protocol really quickly, and it will take them to the protocol that you have outlined for them with all the information that you've listed. It will also include the recommendations that you've given them, such as food, lifestyle, and supplement recommendations, which for those of you who aren't aware, we do also integrate with Fullscript and Wellevate, where you can link your supplements here as well, and then the client can purchase them directly from their website. The last thing I'd like to show you in the protocol section is that if your client wants to download this to perhaps share it with another practitioner, or just if they want it for their own personal records, they can select the download option here, and it will allow them to save a PDF of it for future reuse. So let's go back to the dashboard. And then you also see here as well our session notes. So these are all the notes that you've shared with the client that they can quickly view. So if you had an initial consultation with them and they quickly need to check what you've gone over, they can just come here, click the note, and be able to view the sections of the note that you share with them. As we discussed in our last deep dive, you can choose which sections of a note that you share with your client, so they're able to quickly glance and see what they need to do. And like the protocols, they can also select the download option to download these as a PDF. And then one other thing I'd like to discuss here, so the option to share documents, or sorry, to have clients share documents with you. So that's actually not found in our dashboard section. To do that, you could select the, like in the dashboard widget section, I mean. From there, you can select the upload a document option. So this will basically take your client right to the documents folder. As well, they can access it by clicking My Resources and Documents. This will take them to their documents folder where you have shared documents with them, as well as documents that they have shared with you. So I'll give you an idea of how it looks like from a client perspective when they upload a document. They would come to the document section. They would select the upload icon here. And then from here, they'll click select files. And then from their computer, they can just choose what to upload for you. So we'll do like my exercise routine here. And then from here, they have a few different options. So they can change where the destination folder is. So for now, we'll just leave this as the home folder. And they can also share which practitioner they'd like to share the file with. So for those of you who are joining today who are on a team plan, if you have multiple practitioners on the same team and you want to have like your client share documents with specific practitioners, all they would need to do is just check off which practitioner is here. And once they do that and everything looks good, they will just select upload. They'll get this prompt if they would like to upload the files, and then they would select upload again. And then once completed, it will appear in their upload section where they can view it really quickly. And then from there, the last thing I'd like to show you is if we navigate back to the dashboard, one other key feature I find a lot of our practitioners use is the pending tasks. So tasks are an excellent way to ensure that your clients are doing the things that you need them to do for your sessions with them. So for example, here's a couple of tasks I've created for this client. Drink 8 cups of purified water, try strawberry basil water, learn the basics of using essential oils for self-care. You can really structure these however you'd like. But essentially all you need to do is select the task. This is from the client perspective. And they will have the option to either complete or complete later. So if they select complete, the task will be marked as complete and will show up in their pending tasks as well, or in their completed tasks as well. And it will be completed. And then you as a practitioner will receive a notification in which you can quickly view it. And those are kind of the main ways to access documents that or resources clients have shared with you from the dashboard section.
Sam, can we just navigate back over to the programs? I did see a question asking kind of what the module looks like. So if we go into the program that our test client is enrolled in here, and just show kind of what that looks like. So really it's going to look very different depending on how you build this out as a practitioner. But when a client is enrolled in a program, that module will be available to them based on whatever trigger you've set. So maybe that's based on time elapsed for an evergreen program, or maybe if you've built out a fixed date program, that'll be triggered by the time and date that you've set. And then they basically have kind of the different curated information within that module. So you can see with Sam's example here that he's included an embedded video, there's task, there's different kind of text and copy, allowing the client to kind of learn all about aromatherapy in this example. So that is just kind of a glimpse at what a module looks like. But again, this is going to be very different depending on exactly how, as a practitioner, you're choosing to build this out, what type of information you're including, what your program is based on. But hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of how it looks to the client. And as you're building this out as a practitioner, you will have the ability to preview it. So, you can continuously test it out to see how it will look client facing as you're building out a program. All right, let's just quickly see here if there's any other questions. Can you set reminders for your clients to recur weekly? So we do have reoccurring tasks, and Sam can kind of talk us through that.
That was actually the exact one I was going to talk about, Britt. Yeah, because I see that's a very valuable thing for clients to have them. Is you can set recurring tasks. You can have them set on an increment, so they can come in daily, weekly, whatever you'd like. And then you can also set reminders and due dates for those tasks. So for that, to set those up for your clients in a good functionality, I would recommend just going to our help center and searching recurring tasks.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get into discussing journals. So journals are a great way of understanding your clients, different health metrics, dietary and lifestyle habits, and being able to connect the dots between symptoms and maybe changes they're experiencing, and the different, lifestyle and diet information available to you via your clients filling out their journals. So depending on the type of practitioner you are, because Practice Better, we are kind of home to a wide variety of different designations and different types of professionals. Some information might be more relevant to you and your designation than other information. or perhaps not even a part of your scope of practice. So therefore, the journals can really be utilized in different ways by your clients, depending on how you want them to fill them out and what type of information you're actually looking to collect. So additionally, depending on how you work with clients and the type of work you do, you may want to customize certain views of the client to perhaps hide information or show certain information. That was a tongue twister. Maybe you want to hide calories. That's not beneficial for your client to see. So maybe you want to kind of omit that. So if you choose to enable these settings as a practitioner, what your client sees in the journal section of the portal will reflect this. So the example that we're showing today could just look a little bit different depending on the settings that you've set up in your practitioner portal. That's just kind of something to keep in mind as we demo the example we built out for you today. But we really want to walk you through the different ways that clients can log information in their journals, because there are, like I said, a number of ways that they can actually do so and lots of different type of information that they can log. So let's take a look at that.
Awesome. Thanks, Britt. So with journal entries, you can quickly add the journal widget that I discussed earlier. Shows you kind of like what they have for the day. So you'll see here, it says my journal's September 29th. And we'll show you all the entries, the client, all the entries that they made in a day. So the first, to actually add sessions or add information to the journals, they'll click the journals tab here. This will take them to the entire journaling section. And here your client can basically add things like the food they consumed and things like their exercise or sleep patterns, which that you can then view in your practitioner portal and compare kind of how far along they are with their progress. So let's first start with the food and mood journal. You'll see on the calendar on the left-hand side that some entries are shaded green. These are days where your client has filled in food entry information. You'll also see this from your practitioner portal as well, which I'm sure many of you have come across before. So basically, when your client is adding food entries, they basically come to this section, select Add Entry. You'll see here in the window that pops up, there's a few different options for them. They can choose to add a free-form entry if they just want to add a kind of a custom food entry that's not pulled from our database automatically. They can choose to upload a photo. So for example, for today, for lunch, I uploaded a photo so you can see exactly like what they're eating, and you can get a good visual idea of the amount of food that they're intaking. You can also choose to add a new food as well as add a recipe. Both of these, when you add them, will be stored in your client's My Foods and My Recipe section, which your client can then use, reuse. So if they're eating the same types of food, which I'm sure is very frequent, they can reuse these custom foods and recipes and quickly add the nutrient information. So let's kind of quickly add one together. We'll add one from our database. So if you search for foods, you can search for almost anything, but just to make it easy, I'm going to search here for Cheerios, just for breakfast. So basically it will pull, our database will pull in all the information, and then they would click on the food. They can choose when they had the meal time, the date they consumed it, as well as the time. So we'll do this because it was breakfast. We'll select 9 a.m. And then they can also choose their servings as well as their serving size. You'll see there's a few different options here. So this is really, really great for getting an exact idea of what your client's doing essentially. You can also check here, Save to My Foods, which will save it for future reuse for ease of access for the client. And you'll see, because this is pulled from our database, it automatically updates the macronutrients and all that stuff. So you have carbohydrates, lipids, protein. It automatically pulls the data. So it really kind of makes it a lot less work for you as the practitioner. So once the client has kind of reviewed everything, everything looks okay, and it's to their liking, they would just need to select Save. Once they select Save, it will populate. So I added this for 9 a.m. and then I added a couple earlier, like they had a coffee at 10 a.m. So then it saves automatically, and then you as a practitioner can view all of this in your practitioner portal. So that's kind of like the main functionality of the journal, of the food and mood journal option. In the lifestyle journal, they can quickly add any activity that relates to the lifestyle. They would just select the fast action button here, and then select log a lifestyle entry. So some of the options that they can log include mood, bowel movements, sleep, and they can also use, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but they can also log like custom activity that's not covered by one of these 5 headings, just by using the note tab here. So if there's just something specific that they want to note to you, or you want them to note to you, they can add that information here. Another very popular area of this lifestyle journal is the client measurement section. So you'll see here that they can quickly add measurements, and they have a lot of different options. They can add things like weight, they can add things like blood pressure, heart rate. There's all sorts of other options. If you really want to get like a very thorough understanding of your client's measurements, I would always encourage this as part of your onboarding process to get them to start logging this information frequently and as much data as possible. And then I also want to note that when, if you remember when we did at the start of the demo, we did the setup wizard. That was, we added a lifestyle entry real quick, and that populated right here. So this is the one that we did right at the start, and it populated. So that way we do that because it gives the client an idea of when they come to their journal section, exactly what they can see and exactly how it's going to look from their perspective. So let's quickly add a sleep entry together just to get an idea of what it looks like from their view. So we'll put here, for example, that we slept last night. We went to bed at 10 p.m. We had a duration of 8 hours of sleep. We'll say that last night we didn't have such a good sleep. It was a bad sleep. And, it took us a little while to fall asleep. And then you can also add, we won't go too far into this, but you can add things like awakenings, like how frequently they woke up and how long they were awake for. You'll notice here as well, you can also link your Fitbit. If you have clients who use Fitbit, they can link that in their client portal. It's a great feature for them. And then you would select save. Once you select save, that data will populate here. And this will be the same for any lifestyle entry that they add. So it'll be able to quickly come and view this at a glance. And then the last thing I want to show you in the journaling section, we'll go back to the food and mood. You'll see here that you can set, so I'm sure many of you use this as practitioners already, but you can set nutrient targets for your clients. So this will populate here, and they'll be able to see kind of like the breakdown of the day, which will populate from all of their entries from the day. And then if you've set nutrient targets, they'll see this little trophy icon when they've reached one of those nutrient targets. So it allows them to kind of, as a rewarding system for them to know that they've kind of staying on track and meeting the things that you've outlined for them in order to follow their nutrition and lifestyle needs. So yeah, that's the main functionality of the journal section and how it looks like from the client perspective.
Awesome. Yeah, the journals have so much capability and they're quite robust. And again, like depending on your scope of practice, you can really guide your clients on how to use these so that as a practitioner, you're getting the most out of them. You can imagine if you don't really give your client direction and you just give them access to the journals, that maybe they're going to be making use of all the different ways of logging food, and maybe you want it to be consistent. So this is where we wanted to kind of bring you guys this tour so that you get really familiar with the different ways and understand what's going to work best for your workflow, so that you can then provide guidance to your client to say that you'd maybe prefer them to use the food database, or maybe you're happy just enough with photos. So again, it really just depends on how in-depth you're looking to get with this type of information. All right, let's move on. We are getting close to the hour. So right while I'm kind of chatting with you guys, I just wanted to pop the link for our feedback survey in the chat. So this is just a quick couple minutes feedback survey for anyone that can't stay the entire duration of the webinar. This is how we really decide on what topics we're going to address in our next deep dive. It allows us to really refine what we're doing so that you guys get the most value out of it. So if you can't stay the full hour, you can feel free to use the link that I just put in the chat. If you are staying the full hour, when the webinar is done, you'll automatically be redirected to the survey and you can just stay and then complete it. It'll just take a minute or two. But we are getting more towards the end. So let's talk about how your client can actually communicate with you as the practitioner. So to ensure that you're working together successfully, you'll want to ensure you have an established means of communication with them and you've outlined to them what that means to you. So, meaning as a practitioner, you've established your availability. Maybe you've let them know what your response time looks like and what means of communication is most effective and convenient. So the secure chat feature in Practice Better allows for easy conversation to take place between the practitioner and the client. And you can kind of think of it like instant messaging. So your client can use this feature to notify you of anything pertinent that they want to bring to your attention. Maybe they want to ask you a question, or maybe, as a practitioner, you could even use this tool as a way to engage in conversation, to check in with your client and see how things are progressing for them. So really more so using it as an engagement and an accountability tool. And this feature will also allow you to attach PDFs and different documents. You can even hop on a video session call with your client. So yeah, know that you can start the conversation on your end as a practitioner too. And then the client can either respond to you. They can also start a conversation as well. So this is nice and simple, but we wanted to kind of bring this to your attention as a simple way of staying in touch with your client and how they can reach out to you.
Thanks, Britt. So just a note from the journal section, I noticed in the chat, people were asking about different features like Apple Watch and all sorts of different things. I just want to let you know that our development team, you can always send feature requests for things you'd like to see integrated with us to our development team. So I just want to let you know that it is an option. If there's a software that integration we don't support, please feel free to email us anytime. But to discuss the secure chat, this feature looks the same for your clients as it does for you in the practitioner portal. In almost every section of Practice Better that you're in, you'll see this little messenger icon in the bottom right-hand corner. All you would need to do is just you click this, and then you would select the expand option. And once you do so, it will take the client to the active chats that they have, whether it be a chat with you or a group chat that they're enrolled in. So here you'll see that I've kind of had a test conversation with the practitioner. So here you can message your practitioner directly. This is how your clients message you. They will just need to type their message here in the box below, and they can also choose to attach a file or send an audio message. So that way, if they just want to leave like a voice note for you, they can do that. So like we can quickly attach a file, just give you an idea what it looks like. So I'll attach this meditation techniques, which those of you tuned into our last webinar, you remember we discussed that. And then you would just select send. Now, basically what happens is me as a practitioner, I'll receive a notification on my end that this client has messaged me. I can come here and view this PDF. So this is, we always recommend the chat if there's just something that you kind of need very quickly from your client that you just want them to send you directly, and doesn't necessarily need to be uploaded like to the document section, just anything that you might need. And then basically once you log in and view your chat, you can view and download this and get all the information you need from it. But other than that, it does kind of work the same way from your perspective as a practitioner as it does from a client perspective.
That's great. All right. So one thing to note is that a client will have had to log into their client portal in order for you to initiate conversation with them via secure chat. So in many instances, you can share resources with them and much of what we've spoken about today without them having even logged in for the first time. The chat is an exception. So that's just one thing I wanted to note. And as an alternative, if you wanted to send them a more personalized message, you could choose to utilize a workaround, which would be sending a broadcast message. Okay, now let's quickly touch on notifications. So as you work with your clients, booking sessions, sending invoices, sharing the resources like we mentioned, and communicating with them, your clients will be receiving notifications throughout. So of course, we want them to be apprised of anytime something's been updated or requires their attention. But clients can actually customize which notifications they would like to receive to be notified of any updates and changes from the practitioner. So we just wanted to show you where those are located in case the client would like to adjust them. Just know that if they do choose to adjust them, maybe you're not going to have the same eyes on things, but we do also recognize that we're always getting lots of notifications in our lives, on our phones and in our emails and all of that. So we did want to make this customizable.
Awesome. So yeah, for the notifications are housed in the same place essentially as they are in your practitioner account. The client will come here, come to the notification preferences. For those of you who kind of looked into the notifications that are in your practitioner account, you notice that there's not quite as many options for clients because they receive less frequent communication. So basically they can choose to come here and they can choose to disable notifications relating to recommendations, relating to tasks, and relating to rescheduling or cancellations of sessions. All they would need to do is just select the respective icon. So they can choose to enable instant alerts as well, so they get the pop-ups on their computer. But they can choose to disable whichever one they'd like. So if they want to disable, for example, email notifications for recommendations, all they would need to do is just click the icon, and then they'll select Save Changes, and they will no longer receive email notifications for the recommendations. I also want to note as well, they can also disable chat notifications. So if you send them a chat using the secure messenger that we just talked about, you would be able to do that for instant alerts as well.
Perfect. Okay, so we have kind of gotten to the end of our demo. We're just about nearing the hour. We're almost wrapped up. One of the things that I just wanted to kind of talk about as we wrap up is setting up a test client. So setting up a test client is a fantastic way to continue to thoroughly understand the client portal and to ensure that you're able to provide guidance and workflow insight and advice to your client. So, in addition to providing your client with those instructions for how to use and navigate the platform, you can also help troubleshoot questions as they come up, but they're also a great way to test your setup in the platform before bringing it to your audience and community. So, some examples of this might look like you're setting up your calendar for the first time, or maybe you're adjusting it and you want to make sure that your availability is coming through correctly. So you could log in as your test client and really get a thorough look to make sure that that is working correctly. Testing programs, maybe you're building out a new program and you want to kind of work through the different flow of your modules and the release dates and all of that. So you could do that as your test client. Bookings and payments, maybe you just want to really understand how the client experiences those things. So setting up a test client can be super beneficial. And also, we've mentioned this a few times, but there is a mobile app clients can download, so on both iOS and Android. Today, we've really looked just at the desktop version of the platform, but as you continue to become well-versed in the client portal, don't forget to familiarize yourself with the app if this is how your clients are choosing to access their client portal. So that kind of wraps things up. I'm just going to check the chat for any kind of last questions as we hit the hour, and I am going to just share that survey one last time for people. But let's just see, Sam, here, if there's any questions we can answer before we wrap up.
Yeah, I see one here from Janet, just about our reminders of appointments sent the day before the appointment. So you can set up text reminders, SMS reminders, and you can choose to schedule when those go out in advance. So I would recommend searching our help article just for SMS reminders, and that will tell you how to set that up, as well as which countries it's available in. And then as well, we did note that there was some questions that were unanswered. So if there was anything unanswered today, you can always just feel free to send us an email at our support desk. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Any other questions that you're seeing? How do you set up a test client? So Nancy, it's really just about going into your practitioner portal and creating a client that is using an email that you have access to. And then you can open an incognito window of your browser and log in as if you are the client. All right. Let's turn back on our camera, wrap up to say goodbye. Sam, if you just want to make me host quickly so I can show my face.
Awesome. I'll do that right now. So I'll turn on my camera and then make you host, and then you should be able to turn on your camera.
Awesome, there I am. Thanks everybody for joining us today. I know there were a lot of questions, so if we didn't get to your question, we did have limited time and of course an agenda to run through. We'd love for you to connect with our customer support team, so you can access them through help@practicebetter.io. Sam, if you maybe want to put that in the chat for people to see that email that they can connect and get their questions answered. They're a really fantastic resource. If you didn't catch it, this replay will be sent out to you all and available on YouTube along with all of our previous deep dives. But thank you everyone for tuning in today. It was great kind of giving you an alternative look at the portal and showing you more from the client side. And again, you'll see that feedback survey. So you will be redirected after the end of this webinar, and we would really love to see your feedback and topics that you'd like to see in the future. But otherwise, we'll sign off and say goodbye for now, and we'll catch you guys next month. So thanks for doing this with me, Sam, and I will see you all later. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.